I'm your host, MacKenzie. Thank you for joining me once again on my channel on data engineering. In this episode, we go back to our Microsoft Access playlist and our data macros playlist, and we're going to take a look at how to do delete actions when a record is deleted using our data macros. Now, in previous episodes, I showed you how to log changes in your tables using data macros, which work on the back end of the database. And today we're going to take a look at how to log delete actions, which is a little bit more tricky. Let's get to it. Are you a VB programmer looking for your next gig? Make sure to check out the additional links in the description. Okay, many thanks to the viewer that brought up this issue, and it was a fun one to do today. I'm using this access after delete data macro file here that I will put up on my downloads page. And inside I have this candy table that you guys have seen many times in various forms and flavors over the last couple of years. And I've got a log table here, and what I would like is for a log record to be inserted each time that a record is deleted in the candy table. But I want to capture the values, or I should say some values, from the record in the candy table that was deleted. I want those values to go into my log entry. So here's the design of my candy table, and we can see here we've got candy type, candy name, candy price, and we have an ID column. And what I want to capture is the ID and the name of the record that was deleted. So I want to make sure that I capture that in my after delete macro so that I have some information in my log entry that's useful. So after selecting our macro in the drop down there, we're in the macro design area here, and we are going to add some commands to our macro. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to set a local variable here, and this is a variable that's used in the back end of the database engine. So remember from previous episodes, if you haven't seen those, make sure to check those out, that all of this processing in data macros is actually happening in the database backend and not in the front end where all the VBA and forms and things are. And so I've added my deleted ID. I'm going to make this local variable called deleted ID, and I'm going to add old into my expression here, you can see, and so that I have old in front of my ID there. And so that's going to get the old value that was in the ID column before the record was deleted, because remember, this is the after delete macro, which happens after it has been deleted. And so there's my name. I've called it deleted ID. We're going to load it with that old.id there, and then we're also going to set another local variable because I would like to capture the name of the item that was deleted. So you might have some other fields that you want to do there as well, and you can do those in the same way. So again, I'm putting old.candy_name in there as the deleted name, and that's gonna help me to get those values that I want to see in my log record. Moving on, the next thing that we'll do after we loaded our variables is we are going to add a record to our log table. So we can do that very simply. After we loaded our variables, we can choose a different item from our drop down here, and we can choose the create record selection, and that's going to allow us to put a new record into some other table, and in our case we're going to call it log table because that's our table that we are logging in. And so once you've got that there, you'll see it created the little sort of sub action. Now make sure that you choose the right actions. You want to choose the one that's inside of the light gray area there. And what we're going to do is we're going to set field here, and very simple. It is a nice and easy way to add a record to a table, and we can just choose that set field selection there, and then it'll ask us, well, what field name do you want to set a value for, and in this case we are going to put in the record ID, and the record ID, we can just put that in our square brackets there, and then from there we can say which value we want to put in there, and we will be choosing the local variable name that we just created called deleted ID. Now, very important, note where I'm using square brackets on the local variable names and where I do not use square brackets on the local variable names. Speaking of which, I've got a little exclamation there telling me there's something wrong with my expression, and that is a curly brace I put in, not a square brace. There we go. So now we've got our square braces around that, but note that when I created the local variable, I did not put the braces around it at all. Okay, there we go. We are putting the deleted ID local variable into the record ID field. That is our first entry, and you'll notice that we can set up many of these set field entries, and so we will set another one because we wanted to capture the name of the deleted candy in order to put that into our log entry as well, and so we're going to set a value for that as well. And the name of the variable in this case is deleted name. And so if we look at the previous one, you'll see that that one was called deleted ID, and that is the one that we used in the first set field entry. So now we have two set field entries. We've got one for the ID and one for the name, and we are good to go here. Let's save it and see if it works. So we'll save that, hit close, and now we have this on our table here, so I can close this table. It asks me if I want to save the changes, and I can say yes. And now each time I delete from the candy table, I should get an entry in my log table. So let's pick any row here. Let's delete this dark chocolate C, and we'll delete that row. We get our normal "Are you sure?" message from Microsoft Access, and now if I check my log table, there we go. Okay, we've got an entry here, and it is record ID 10 that was deleted, and the record value was dark chocolate C. Now we could add something to that. We could actually add a column in between there, between log ID and record ID, to say what the action was that happened. You could also do something like that. But first, let's just test this out. We've got ID 18. Let's delete that one, and we'll go yes for our confirmation message. And now we've got two entries in there. We've got dark chocolate C and mint toffee A. Those have both been deleted, and that is essentially everything you need to know about adding values from the table. But you can also just add some other values that aren't expressions per se by just putting in some hard-coded values. So say we wanted to record this action as a delete action, you could also do that. So we could demonstrate that very simply. Let's close that log table, and we'll open our candy table in design here. We'll go to that after delete macro that we created, and we can create another set field action in our create records section there, and we can add our own value. We don't have to add an expression from the table. We could just say, hey, I want record action to be delete, and so you could put that in quotes, double quotes there, and it'll allow you to make that entry. So let's save that. We'll close it, and then we'll close the table. It'll ask us to save another time here. If I want to look at that, here we go. We'll save that, and now we've got say record 17, which is gumballs. We'll delete that, and now we should have a more descriptive entry in our log table, and that is exactly what we want to see there. And that is how you can use after delete in data macros in Microsoft Access. Want to help support my work? Make sure to check out my Patreon. The link is in the description.